Welcome back, True Seeker. Another example of murder by numbers. This time it is the co-creator of MTV's Unplugged, which began in 1989. The story is that Jim Burns was hit by a taxi cab Christmas Eve, then died 2 days later, December 26th. I want to show you the parallels between this man's death and Heather Menzies-Urich, who starred in The Sound of Music, which debuted in 1965, a fitting year for the film The Sound of Music. In this case, it's another man dead at 65 with a clear parallel to music. So notice up here how Variety emphasizes MTV Unplugged, so does the New York Post, so does CBS News. When the media emphasizes a phrase, it's not coincidental. They're letting you know that there's gematria behind those words that are relevant to the story. MTV Unplugged in reduction gematria, as well as reverse reduction gematria, sums to 54. Taxi also sums to 54 in ordinal and reverse ordinal. And all of these methods based on the alphabetic order. Reduction just includes the rules of numerology. So that is why the emphasis, because he was hit by a taxi. Now here's what else is interesting. MTV has the gematria of 55, just like December equals 55, sacrifice 55, Satan 55, Santa 55. He was hit on Christmas Eve. He died December 26th, 2017, a date with 55 numerology. Fateful number, December always a fateful month for people in the entertainment industry. What I found interesting about the gematria of Unplugged was especially the 37. December also equals 37 with a reduction format. This man, he began this in 1989 as the co-creator. He was 37 years old in 1989. He died at 65, 28 years later. Unplugged also has the gematria of 44 like kill. 107, that's the 28th prime number. He's dead 28 years after starting Unplugged. He's died at age 65, music 65, The Sound of Music came out in 65. Christianity also has gematria of 65, hit on Christmas Eve, Christian holiday. In the articles written about his death, they bring up a lot of the popular performances from MTV Unplugged. And, you know, one of the names mentioned in numerous articles is Bob Dylan, and that's who I really have my eye on right now. I think Bob Dylan is a name we're going to hear about soon in the headlines, having passed away from some false cause. I also said to keep an eye on Mariah Carey. It's been reported in recent months that she's been ill. She's younger, but she's another person I'm looking out for. And, you know, everyone else on this list is also suspicious. They bring up Jimmy Page and Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. Remember the parallel between the death of Chris Cornell and Robert Plant, which I talked about when Chris Cornell died. The last song he performed, In My Time of Dying, by Led Zeppelin. His death was synced up with the eclipse of August 21st. Robert Plant turned 69 years old the day before the eclipse, August 20th. Kurt Cobain, of course, murdered by the numbers. His death perfectly coordinated with Courtney Love and Dave Grohl. Covered this in the past. You take this code, you start looking at Kurt Cobain, Dave Grohl, Courtney Love. Look at the word heroin. You're going to figure out real fast the parallels between the three people. And Dave Grohl and Courtney Love, two of the biggest beneficiaries of the death of Kurt Cobain. A lot of people have been killed by this code. This man who died is named Jim Burns. Jim Burns, 34. Burns also 34. The word murder, 34. Burns equals 74, like killing, like Jesus, like cross, like Christmas Eve. Hit on Christmas Eve by a taxi. I wanted to go back and look at Bob Dylan's MTV Unplugged album. You know, everybody who performs MTV Unplugged gets an album. And I had to grin when I saw that it came out May 2nd. 5/2. Again, Minnesota equals 52. That's Bob Dylan's home state. A lot of people get ritually sacrificed around the time of sports championships, such as the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 52 this year in Minnesota. And also the day they began recording this album, November 17th, 1994. Date with numerology of 141. Bob Dylan equals 141 in reverse ordinal. Thought that was interesting. So, you know, another day, another murder by numbers. And we just covered the death of Heather Menzies-Urich, dead on Christmas Eve. Starred in The Sound of Music in 65, 52 years earlier. Christmas Eve, 52. You know, what are the odds? All right, Truth Seeker, be sure to tune into TFR Live tonight. We'll be talking about all the latest propaganda, all the latest murder by numbers, taking your calls, plus everything else going on. Till next time.